right, let's dive into this one. Um, Bajo la misma estrella by John Green.
Yeah, great pick. And for those listening in this deep dive, it's all about going beyond the surface.
Yeah, forget the Spark Notes version. We're going deep.
Exactly. We're talking about analysis del libro,
Yeah.
really understanding what makes this book tick.
And why it hits so hard. Even years after reading it. I mean, I still think about Hazel.
Oh, absolutely. Her voice is unforgettable right from the start.
Oh yeah, like that line, "Congratulations, you're a woman now nigh."
Ooh, right. Talk about dark humor.
But so Hazel, so real.
It's her defense mechanism. You know how she deflects with that sharp wit?
And the way she throws around medical terms like it's nothing.
Makes you think, though. Is she pushing us away with all that,
Or
or?
pulling us closer. It's a good question for our listeners, too. What do you think about Hazel's voice? Does it make her relatable? Distant?
Hold on to that thought, because we're going to get into something else that's interesting. The support group.
Yeah, you don't usually think of support groups as a place for romance.
Haha, true. But it's where Hazel and Augustus meet.
It's also so much more than that, though. It's like a microcosm of this whole experience.
Of living with cancer.
Yeah.
You see all these different ways people are coping.
Isaac, with his anger.
Leda trying so hard to be positive.
It's like John Green is showing us there's no one right way to deal with this.
And then there's that mantra, they keep repeating it, living our best life today.
What do you make of that?
Huh.
Empowering. Ironic. A little bit of both.
We go back and forth.
It
Honestly,
depends on the day.
exactly. And it brings us to Augustus. This guy is all about grand gestures, making his mark on the world.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I kind of love that about him. But is it genuine? Or
Driven by fear of being forgotten. That's the question, isn't it? He even says it, I need a life or death that means something. Powerful stuff.
so many young people feel that way, though. Like they need to leave a legacy.
It's a common anxiety, but does it make it harder to appreciate the present moment?
That's a great point.
Okay.
I'm not sure Augustus would agree, though.
Maybe not, but it's something to think about. And it kind of leads us to this other big element, an imperial affliction, the book within the book.
Oh, yeah, they're obsessed with that thing.
For good reason, it becomes this mirror for their own experiences.
They see themselves in Anna's story. They want those answers she doesn't get.
Which is really interesting because they're searching for meaning and closure.
Just like we are as readers, right? We get so invested in these characters.
And we want to know what happens next.
But what happens when a story just ends? Leaves us hanging. What does that say about life?
Whoa, that's heavy. Yeah, it's like John Green is throwing this curveball. Like, life doesn't always tie things up neatly.
It's frustrating, though.
Right.
You want that resolution.
But maybe that's the point. Maybe he's reflecting the uncertainty of it all.
Those missing pages from an imperial affliction. It's like they represent all the unanswered questions we have.
Exactly. The things we may never figure out.
It's a lot to process, though, don't you think? Like he's making us do the heavy lifting?
He is. But isn't that more engaging? We're not just passive readers.
True. We're forced to confront the ambiguity and find our own meaning.
Which makes those missing pages even more intriguing. What do you think Augustus might have written?
You know, I'm not so hung up on the actual words. I think it's more about the act of leaving something behind.
A message for Hazel. A legacy.
It's like how this book stays with us even after we finish reading it.
It's the impact we have on others, even after we're gone.
And Hazel. She goes through such a transformation in this story.
Absolutely. She starts out so closed off, resigned to her fate.
But through Augustus, she opens up to love, to joy.
To the possibility of a life fully lived, however short it may be.
This isn't just a love story. It's about Hazel finding her own strength.
Which makes the ending so powerful. It's ambiguous, but is it hopeful? What do you think?
Oh, I'm still wrestling with that. We don't know what happens to her after that final scene.
But we see her embracing life, even with the grief.
There's resilience there, a refusal to be defined by loss.
I think that's where the hope lies, in her ability to keep going.
Even when it hurts. It's a powerful message.
Especially for a story dealing with such heavy themes.
But is there a danger in romanticizing it all? I mean, their relationship, it's so intense.
Larger than life.
Yeah, I can see that.
Does that make it harder to relate to, for those of us who haven't experienced something so dramatic?
It's a good point. But I think the emotional core of the story,
Yeah.
the love, the loss.
The search for meaning, those things are universal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all connect with those feelings, the fear, the joy, the heartbreak.
It's part of being human.
And John Green captures that so well. He doesn't shy away from the messiness of it all.
The complexities of life and death.
Of love and loss.
He makes us confront it head on.
And through Hazel and Augustus, he shows us that even in the face of all that, there's still beauty.
Still meaning to be made. So we take a step back and look at Bajo la misma estrella as a whole. What does it teach us about life, about love, about the human condition?
I think it's a reminder that life is a gift, even with all the pain.
It's about embracing the moments, the connections, the things that make us feel alive. Beautifully said. And it's about living our best life today.
Even if we don't have all the answers. Even if the ending is uncertain. It's about finding those extraordinary moments in the ordinary.
Absolutely. And speaking of extraordinary moments, what would Hazel say to us now, after everything she's been through?
What a question. I think she would tell us to be brave, to be vulnerable,
to love fiercely, and to never stop searching for those moments that make life extraordinary.
Don't let fear hold you back.
Go out there and make your mark, even if it's just a small one.
And maybe most importantly, she'd remind us that sometimes the most powerful stories,
the ones that truly stay with us, are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
You know, something's been bugging me this whole time. Remember how Hazel talks about her cancer? Like it's a grenade?
Yeah, how she's terrified of hurting the people she loves.
Such a powerful image. It's like the ripple effect of illness.
How it touches everyone around the person who's sick.
But I keep thinking, did Augustus feel the same way? Was he afraid of being the grenade in Hazel's life?
That's interesting. It's never stated directly, but there are hints.
Like when he hides his relapse.
His need to protect her from more pain.
Maybe all those grand gestures. His obsession with leaving a legacy. It was partly driven by fear.
Fear of being remembered as the one who hurt her?
Wow. It adds a whole new dimension to his character.
And it makes you think about love. Is it about protecting someone from pain or sharing it with them?
That's deep. It reframes their entire relationship.
And it highlights those impossible choices we face when we love someone who's hurting. Do we shield them? Or stand beside them even if it means more pain?
There are no easy answers, are there?
Yeah.
It's a question we all face at some point.
Yeah.
How do we love when it hurts? When there's loss?
It's one of those things John Green doesn't give us a neat answer to.
Which is what makes this book stick with you. You keep thinking about it.
It makes you wonder, did Augustus ever figure it out for himself?
Did he find a way to love Hazel in a way that felt true to him? Even with all the fear?
It's possible. And, you know, the other characters, they add so much to this, too.
Oh, yeah. They're not just there in the background, like Isaac.
He loses his sight.
Right.
And his anger, his grief.
It's raw. It shows us there's no one way to deal with loss.
Everyone grieves differently. And then there's Lita, you know, with her whole living our best life today thing.
It's almost too much. Sometimes. Like, is she really that positive? Or is it a way to cope?
Probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how she contrasts with Hazel.
They're both facing the same thing, but their reactions are so different.
It just shows you how complex this all is. And we can't forget Hazel's parents.
They're amazing. I love her so much.
Yeah.
Even when they don't understand what she's going through.
It's that unconditional love, you know, the kind that helps you get through anything.
It's a reminder that family matters. It's
Yeah.
a powerful theme in the book.
It really is. Were there any lines or passages that really stuck with you?
So many. But I keep thinking about what Hazel says about the inherent abstractness of everything.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. It's
Yeah.
like even when we try to capture something perfectly, it's still just an interpretation.
Filtered through our own experiences. You know? It makes you wonder how well we can ever truly understand another person.
Even when they're trying their best to share themselves with us, it's kind of humbling.
And maybe that's why the ending is so ambiguous. The missing pages. It's like John Green is saying there's no one right answer.
He's inviting us to find our own meaning, to embrace the mystery.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Bajo la misma estrella, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from it?
I think it's a reminder that life is precious, even with all the hard parts.
It's about finding those moments that make it all worthwhile. The connections, the joy,
The love, and never underestimating the power of stories.
the way they can make us feel less alone, inspire us, help us make sense of it all.
We may not have all the answers, but Bajo la misma estrella gives us a lot to think about.
To feel, to hold on to. So to everyone listening out there, keep searching for those extraordinary moments.
Even in the ordinary.
Okay.
Okay.